Alright, so in our last video, we had a good working program. It takes two numbers and checks the first number to see if it's greater than, less than, or equal to the second number. And we do that here in our condition statement. We say if x is greater than y, we want to print out x is greater than y. If it's not, we want to come down to the second part of our condition statement, and we're checking to see if x is less than y. And if it is, we print out x is less than y. And if it's not, we jump down here into the else portion, or the catch-all. So if it didn't meet this criteria and it don't meet that criteria, this is what we're going to do. And we're going to say x is equal to y, which works for this program because there's only three outcomes. It's either going to be greater than, less than, or equal to. Now, when you get into more complex programming, of course, you may have more things that you need to check. The thing to take away here is you need to make sure that you check everything, because if you don't, you're going to have some unwanted results. If you remember in the last video, I left this else out when we ran two numbers that were equal to each other, and it skipped over the first two and didn't give us anything. So that's considered a bug or a program crash. And that's not good. Alright, so as I said, this is a good program, but not great. We can make it better. And one of the ways to make it better is we're going to get some user input so that they can put in two numbers, and then this program will check them. But the first thing is, they're not going to be able to see x and y. They don't know that we have x and y in here, and that x is the first one and y is the second one. So we don't want to print out x is greater than y, less than y, or equal to y. We want to print out the actual values of x and y. So for example, if I ran this right now, of course it would skip over the first two, and I would want to come down here and say 18 is equal to 18. So just like in our earlier videos, go ahead and pull out the x and the y from the string, and then add or join the values of x and y to the string. Alright, so that would look just like this here. And if I run this now, it should print out 18 is equal to 18, just like I said earlier. So we run this, and 18 is equal to 18. Go ahead and check the other two conditions. We'll set x to 19. And it should say 19 is greater than 18. And it does. And then I'll set y to 20. Now it should say that 19 is less than 20. And it does. So all our conditions are still working. Now we need to get this user input. And to do that, we're going to call in a class called Scanner, which is in the Java utility library. And we import libraries up here above our class line. And it'll look just like this here. Now it is case sensitive, so you have to remember to capitalize the S in Scanner, and everything else should be exactly the same here. Now to use this, we have to come down in our code, and we have to create a variable of Scanner. So the way you do that is you type in Scanner, and then whatever you want to call the variable, you can call it Scanner. Of course, don't use a capital S. You would use a lowercase s, just like that, if you were going to do it. Alright, now I'm going to call mine SC, and I'm going to set it equal to a new scanner, and then you have open and close parentheses. And inside there, we're going to kind of do this down here. We're going to say system.in though, because we're going to be taking input from the user. So remember, system has to be capitalized. And then don't forget your semicolon at the end of the line. All right, so now we can use Scanner for our variables down here. Okay, so when the user inputs something, we want to set that input equal to whatever X is, and then of course whatever Y is. So we call our scanner, or whatever we named it here, SC for me. And then we say dot, and with IntelliSense you can see all these things that you can put in there. I'm going to put next int because that's what we're getting from the user. It should be an integer. And it's as simple as that. So then you can copy that and put it down here over the 20. And if you accidentally copied the semicolon at the end of the line, make sure that you get rid of the second one down here if there happens to be one, because you don't want two semicolons at the end of the line. Now I can run this code as is, but my user isn't going to see anything down here. So if I run it, it'll run and it'll wait. It's waiting for input right now. Okay, because I come into my program, I declared this variable, I used it right here, so it's sitting there waiting on input. So if I typed in, say, the number 10, and of course now it's waiting for input down here for Y, and I say the number 11, now when I hit enter, it'll run through this code down here, and it should tell me that 10 is less than 11. And it does. But we need to put something out to the user to let the user know, hey, I need you to enter something. So I'm going to copy one of these lines down here, pop it in above my X variable and above my Y variable. And the reason I'm doing that is because, remember, once I hit enter after I enter this number, it's going to go to the next line of code. So I want to tell it, enter another number. All right, so let me go ahead and pop that in here. We're going to ask them to enter an integer. So it'll look something like this here. So please enter an integer, or whatever you want them to enter. And then I have a colon, and I want the cursor to remain out on the end of the line. All right. The way it is right now, if you remember, with a print line, it's going to take it down because it's going to give it a carriage return. Now I'm going to run this as is so that you can see that, and then I'm going to take the ln out. So then it sits there and waits for a number. I enter a number, and once I do, it goes to the next line. Please enter another integer, and then sits there and waits for me to enter a number. All right, so let's go ahead and run this. And once again, like I say, since it's print line, it's going to ask for the number below the please enter an integer. And we'll swap them around. We'll go 11 and 10 this time. So 11, and as you can see, it's below please enter an integer. And then another integer will enter 10. So now 11 is greater than 10. All right. So now if I run this again, but let me go ahead and take out the ln here and here. And like I say, this is just what I prefer because it puts the cursor out here and lets you enter it at the end of the line. To me, it just looks neater. And we run it, and then we'll type in two of the same. We'll say 15 and 15. All right, so as you can see, it's out at the end of the line now. And another integer, and we'll say 15. And now it should say 15 is equal to 15. All right. And there you go. You got some user input. It's all working. You didn't have to change pretty much any of this code. I mean, the only thing that we really changed in here was we took out the actual X and Y text and put in the values. But the code still works the same. You didn't have to add or change any other code. So hopefully you see what's going on. So stick with me and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.